Ja, herzlich willkommen zu einer neuen Ausgabe des E-Talk und ich habe heute eine neue, brandneue Story, muss ich eigentlich sagen. Copaur Minerals, Jeremy Yaseniuk. Ich kenne ihn schon seit langem, seit 4-5 Jahren. Ich habe auch nachgeschaut, ich glaube vor 4-5 Jahren haben wir unsere letzten Interviews gemacht, damals wegen Altiplano. Und ich muss ehrlicherweise sagen, ich kenne das Unternehmen relativ gar nicht. Eigentlich gar nicht. Aber was ich kenne ist, ich kenne den Jeremy und ich kenne die Gruppe, die dahinter steht, das ist die Metals Group. Und die Metals Group sagt uns schon einiges, denn Benchmark Metals zum Beispiel und Altiplano kommen aus diesem Stall. Und Benchmark, wissen Sie ja, bin ich ein großer Fan davon. Die haben sie wirklich einen guten Home Run hingelegt. Und ja, das ist eine Firma, eine neue Firma, die sie haben. Und die haben heute ist Montag, der 6. Dezember, zum Nikolaus uns auch noch ein kleines Geschenk vorbeigebracht. Und das wird uns dementsprechend jetzt einmal die Company vorstellen, beziehungsweise eben diesen Deal auch vorstellen. Jeremy, thank you for your time, and I said in my German introduction you bring us a little bit a gift for our presentation. You know, today is St. Nicholas in Europe, and this is where the kids get always some gifts and so on. And you bring us a new gift that your company, the Copaur, buy a new Placer Dome, and this is very unusual. Then we have now two Explorer, or you take over another Explorer. This is unusual. Normally big companies take over Explorer, but not Explorer take another one. But maybe you can present us what was maybe you can, I must say, the Copaur, what was the idea of Copaur and why you take over New Placer Dome.
Okay, I think maybe, Joe, if I could actually just back up a little bit and I'll talk to you a little bit about the compelling story for Copaur just on its own merits. So we took over at Metals Group. I'm one of the founders of the Metals Group, and we have a history of taking projects that have been halted and stunted for many years. The first project was Benchmark Metals. We started Benchmark Metals at a market capitalization of approximately $6 million, and we rapidly took it within 3 years. It now has a market capitalization of over $250 million. And we've raised over $80 million into Benchmark Metals. So our investors that are early investors in that made a boatload of money, like over 1,000% on their money, probably more like 1,600% on their money. Then we found another project just slightly north of that project called The Ranch. We put that into a company called Thesis Gold. We took Thesis Gold from an $8 million market cap to almost $90 million market cap in a very rapid time frame. So then I took over a company called Copaur Metals, or Copaur Minerals rather, approximately a year ago. And this company has the exact same story of those other two companies. And what's compelling about Copaur is the tight share structure of Copaur. Copaur even now has only approximately a $30 million market capitalization. So it's nowhere near where both Benchmark and Thesis Gold is. But what's interesting about all three of these stories is the story is very, very simple. And it's so simple that you don't need to be a geologist. You don't need to be a rocket scientist to figure this out. The discovery that we made with Benchmark Metals was when we found the original drill core for the company and we opened up the boxes for the drill core, it showed very short lengths of the historical data showed, 1 to 2 meters of high grade material. And so we thought that, that's all that there was in Benchmark is just this high grade, short zones of mineralization. When we opened up the boxes and we looked at the actual drill core, the drill core was still round, just like your pencil or pen. Mm-hmm. In other words, it wasn't split in half and it wasn't, pardon me, fully assayed. So they didn't really know what was in the drill core on either side of it. So we analyzed the drill core and we found that on the shoulders of that high grade zone, there was big, broad bulk tonnage type material. And so we thought, why did they just do that? Why did they not assay the entire drill core? Well, if you think about it, back in the late 80s and early 90s, when gold was at $200 to $300 an ounce, bulk tonnage type material is just not going to cut it. Now that gold is $2,000 an ounce, or just under $2,000 an ounce, that type of material is now very economic. So what we did is we looked around at all the other projects in the area that were explored in the 1980s and early 90s, and we went and examined them and had a look. And we found that the ranch just north of us, again, same thing. They didn't assay, they only assayed the jewelry box sections of the drill core, and they didn't bother to assay the rest of the drill core. So this is, it's so basic, but yet so critical. When I went to Copaur's property and we flew the helicopter, we landed on the ground, we popped open the drill boxes, the core boxes. Again, it was completely unassayed drill core. So we assayed this drill core fully, and it wasn't quite continuous mineralization, but if you averaged out the high grade zones with the with the areas where there was nothing or very little in the drill core, we had over 100 meters of over 1.5 grams per ton gold. So that's very economic stuff.
And starting this from the surface, you notice, or is more from underground?
So mineralization literally starts on surface at Copaur. So Copaur is very early stage. We have already proven that we have bulk tonnage type material. We put out a news release just recently that showed that we had over 40 meters of well over 1 gram per ton gold. We had some high grade zones in there, 30 grams per ton in the center. So it's just like very similar to benchmark and to thesis gold, where we have high grade and bulk tonnage type material. So on its own, right now, Copaur is, in my opinion, with a $20 million market capitalization, where we have a company just below with a $300 million market capitalization, or 250, heading towards $300 million market cap. Company just above that has approximately a $90 million market cap. And now we have Copaur that's just above with a $30 million market cap. We are very undervalued. But that being said, I have been part of the challenge that we've had at Copaur, which this new acquisition helps us with, is the fact that we only have the ability to work approximately 6 months out of the year on Copaur's projects. And so I've been looking for an acquisition and scouring project after project after project down in a jurisdiction where we can work all year long, or most of the year anyway. And some of the advisors that are on benchmark and this new acquisition, which is New Placer Dome, approached me and said, here's a great undervalued assets. And I totally believe it. When I look at the assets for New Placer Dome, I believe that by us acquiring this asset, that it is immediately accretive to Copaur. These assets are so undervalued. They're in a world-class jurisdiction. Now we have 4 projects. We have the Williams project up north. We have an exploration project in New Placer Dome, and 2 advanced projects, the Bolo property and Kinsley property, which are phenomenal assets down in Nevada, where we can work just about 12 months out of the year down there.
Okay, so this makes absolutely sense for me. So that you have on one side Copaur with the same strategy like benchmark and thesis, and on the other side you're looking for especially also Nevada and so on, where you can work the whole year. so that you have not this gap between, that you have nothing what you can say to the market. I think it's the biggest problem. So I saw this that in the presentation or on the news releases that it's a share deal.
Yes.
And so what you are planning now, exploration is expensive. We know your share price doing really great. Last year it was around 20 cents, I say. Now you are up to 120. So it's a big development, healthy development for the stock price. Can we expect a financial round that you raise a little bit money that you can go forward more aggressive, also the new acquisition what you have?
So I just want to speak to the deal just a little bit. You alluded to it, that it's a share exchange deal. So we're going to fully diluted, or not fully diluted, we will exchange Copaur shares to acquire all of the issued and outstanding shares. Of course, this is subject to voting in favor of this. Would both companies have to have a shareholder vote, I believe. We're still working through all the details of the legality of it. But the idea is that we acquire all of the issued and outstanding shares of New Placer Dome. And I believe that we're going to issue a little better than 20 million shares, which still keeps a very tight share structure for Copaur. And unfortunately, for New Placer Dome, the market just has not given them the respect that they deserve. Really, they haven't. Their share price has done almost the opposite of what ours has done. So it's extremely accretive. I believe it's extremely accretive for Copaur shareholders to make this acquisition of New Placer Dome. So the idea is that right now Copaur has approximately just under $2.5 million worth of cash. New Placer Dome has raised pardon me, just under $5 million. This isn't COVID. This is a little bit of allergies. I'm sorry.
Hopefully not allergy against me. So we are far away.
And I'm sure it's not coming through the screen at you, so you're fine. So we have approximately $2.5 million. New Placer Dome has, I believe, just under $5 million, maybe a little bit more than $5 million in their treasury. So right now, as we speak, there are drill rigs moving on to the Bolo property. Mm-hmm. We're advancing them some money so that they can we can keep that project, and we're doing a drill program on Bolo, as well as there is geochem and geophysics programs going on Bolo property. So right now the company has a combined treasury of approximately $7.5 million. So we're funded, well funded for what we need to do for this year. We also have warrants and options in the money, significant amount of warrants and options in the money. With the combined company, we'll have approximately $6 million worth of warrants and options in the money. And on top of that, we're planning, concurrent with this financing or concurrent with this transaction, we're going to do a minimum of a $5 million Canadian financing. So we'll have a good treasury to rapidly advance these projects. We have an extensive work program lined up for the next 12 months. And as we have done with all of our projects, you've watched us, we have a reputation of advancing our projects rapidly. We've done this with Altiplano, we've done this with Benchmark, we've done this with Thesis Gold, we're doing this with Copaur. There will be no grass growing under our feet. We will rapidly advance these projects.
And it's interesting. I noticed this New Placer Dome, and that the name was that they changed the name 1 year ago. And I have an interview also with Maximilian Sali, I think is the CEO of, I don't know, or was the CEO of the company, and they have really great numbers. I believe so. And I cannot understand why a share price is going down. So for the Kingsley Mountain, so 42 22 meters with 10 grams, 22 meters with 18 grams. So that's phenomenal numbers, and the share price going this direction. So and I think it's only a question that you have really a good reputation behind, can bring. I see really the positive things for you. So can work around year round. You have the money, you have the people, you have the knowledge, and you have also the connection to the market to expand this dramatically. So
I think it's unfortunate what's happened with their share price, but it's fortunate for us. It's extremely accretive to us. However, I have to say that they have been able to accumulate and put together some phenomenal assets for which I have to say that they've done a very good job with accumulating these great assets. The other strength that bringing together these great assets with our technical team and our management team and our aggression in moving these things forward is that we also get on our board, or not on our board, but our advisory board. We're taking with us Cal Everett from Liberty Gold, and Cal has been instrumental in helping us to put this deal together. And I have to say that I'm happy to be working with Cal Everett. He has a great reputation as far as being able to raise lots of money. So between metals group companies, we've raised probably in excess of a couple $100 million in the last probably 48 months. And Cal Everett on his own is prolific in being able to raise capital. So with our reputation, our ability to raise capital, and our technical expertise in the marketplace, and uncompromising corporate governance, we will be able to advance these projects at a rapid rate. And I think the market should be able to understand these assets a little bit better. There is a possibility too. We haven't fully flushed this out, but we're thinking about it, about perhaps down the road spinning these assets, some of these assets out as they develop and as they get to kind of take on a life of their own. We may spin out the Williams project, we may spin out the Bolo project, we may spin out the Kinsley project down the road into their own separate company as time progresses. So, but that is something that we would need to talk. We need to get this transaction finished first, and then we'll talk about that probably early or mid next year sometime.
So what is now the time schedule? So when we can expect the closing of the deal, and what you're doing then, or what you're planning then for the next 6 months? So for your all of your projects now, you have multi project companies, or you are a multi-project company. So Joe, as you know, it's pedal to the metal. Right now, like I said to you earlier, as we speak, we have drills moving on to the Bolo property. We're advancing some money to New Placer Dome by way of a loan agreement until the deal gets concluded. The deal will get concluded once we do our shareholder meetings and stuff like this. So I think it'll probably conclude, sometime in the new year, early in the new year, the amalgamation. But that's not going to stop us from just going full tilt ahead. I will be on the property early next week. I'm going to be down there doing a property tour with our geologists and Max Sally, who's been very cooperative. Max will likely carry on as a director, quite likely as a director in Copaur, so that there's some continuity between and a proper handoff of information and investor inquiries and so forth. Cal Everett, as I mentioned, will remain as an advisor to our board. And we will be having drill results coming out early in the new year. It's actually great to be drilling this time of year when all the labs have been just slammed with materials, because of the Canadian projects, which are now shut down.
Now all that stuff is getting out of the labs. Now we're getting our stuff going back into the labs. And so the turnaround time will be significantly less. So we're happy about that, to be able to be drilling when nobody else can, which is great. So lots of activity over the next few weeks. We'll have, I'm sure that we'll have some videos of, put up some videos of maybe even some drone footage of what the projects look like and information about that. I'm very excited about this project. The other thing I wanted to mention to you, Joe, is that this is actually quite a unique, it's a unique transaction, because as you mentioned in your introduction, juniors don't generally take over juniors. And I haven't seen a junior, you know, make an opportunistic acquisition of an entire company like this. I don't recall the last time I've seen this. It's been, it's happened, but it doesn't happen very often. And it's generally not, you know, a $20 million, $25 million market capitalization company taking over another company of a similar size. And so usually, pardon me, usually it's, you know, companies like Benchmark that are $400 or $500 million getting gobbled by a $1 billion company. That's usually what happens. But having a junior taking over a junior like this is unique in the industry.
Absolutely, absolutely. I cannot remember me that maybe the last one what more than when like the only remember we was first mining to take over some project, but with the other idea. So there was they keep the project and keep it for a better market, and then try to sell it then to other market. They changed their business model in the past a little bit, but it was a different idea. So, but not really a full exploration company take over another. Cannot remember. Last 15 years, I think it was not really often. Jeremy, thank you for your time. It was really a great introduction. I think that the most interesting time is now ahead of us. So it's now when the drill's coming in, the lab coming in. Congratulations to this acquisition. I think this is really a great one. I think the Copaur story itself is interesting, and that's the reason why the share price is also going up. It shows that your success in the other companies what you have in the metals group. But the acquisition is really a smart move. Then I was always fascinated about the results, what they're coming up, the new Plaza Dome, but I was a little bit shocked about the reaction on the market on it. So when you're coming up with good news and the share price going up, you see that something is
there's a little disconnect there for sure. I don't know, but I think that having the stamp of our technical team and our management on top of this is going to add some credibility to the excellent assets. And the fact that we've acquired these so accretively. Just to put it into perspective, after we acquire the shares of New Placer Dome and our company, so of Copaur, and we do the financing, we will have approximately 60 million shares outstanding, which is nothing. We'll have approximately $20 million, almost $20 million worth of, options and warrants and stuff like this, and cash in our treasury. And we'll have a 65, maybe $70 million market capitalization. It's still less than Thesis Gold and well under Benchmark. Even though Benchmark is as advanced, we will be able to rapidly advance these projects. And now we have 4 projects, not just 1 or 2. So it's a compelling story. I believe that even Copaur, even though our share price has gone up, we're extremely undervalued in my opinion. And with these new assets that we've acquired so accretively, this is going to be a really, really interesting year.
Absolutely, I can imagine. Yeah, thank you for the first introduction. Hopefully we have time, maybe in 3-4 months when the acquisition is done, and maybe then the first results is there, so we can talk a little bit more about the single project and what you're doing or planning for 2022.
Yeah, I know.
The time is so much fun. Or maybe we can do it on the PDSC. in person. It's my first trip to Canada since 2 years. So, you know, I'm sitting here in lovely Book Church in Austria, and I'm not around, or coming out or cannot come to Canada. Jeremy,
looking forward to seeing you again, Joe, and being face to face.
Absolutely, that would be great.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. So, das war eine erste Interview zu Copaur. Ich habe die Firma eigentlich nicht gekannt, obwohl sie eigentlich aus dem Stall von der Metals Group kommt. Metals Group wissen wir, Benchmark Metals und Altiplano. Es hat irgendwie letzte Woche gut gepasst, dass man sich heute irgendwo sagt, okay, was macht ihr? Und dann habe ich gesagt, setzen wir so ein Interview auf, und das haben wir heute auch gemacht, und heute hat er uns auch noch ein kleines Nikolausgeschenk gebracht, und zwar, er hat die Copaur übernimmt die New Placer Dome Gold, so muss es und ich kenne die New Placer Dome Gold auch, weil die auch Kunde bei uns bei IAW Press waren, und die haben sensationelle Ergebnisse gehabt. Vor 2-3 Jahren ist der Aktienkurs auch wirklich gut gelaufen, aber seitdem geht es eigentlich nach unten. So, was war eigentlich die Copaur-Story an sich? Sie kennen Benchmark, Sie kennen Thesis Gold, und die haben quasi ein Projekt oberhalb noch mit drauf gehabt, auf demselben Trend. Er sagt, das war dieselbe Geschichte wie bei Benchmark auch. Die Alten, die dort gearbeitet haben, haben nur das High Grade analysiert und den ganzen restlichen Core überhaupt nicht. Dort war aber das Bulk Tonnage Potenzial drinnen, und das ist einfach nicht angeschaut worden. So, und das war die Story eigentlich von Copaur, dass sie eigentlich eine Verlängerung von Benchmark Thesis und Copaur sozusagen oberhalb war. Jetzt haben sie eine neue Akquisition gemacht. Warum? Macht absolut Sinn. Sie können jetzt rund ums Jahr arbeiten. Sie können jetzt year-round arbeiten. Das haben sie vorher bei Copaur nicht machen können. Und jetzt haben sie nicht ein Projekt, sie haben jetzt 4 Projekte. Und mit 4 Projekten geht es einfach viel leichter. Und Sie sehen hier ein paar Ergebnisse. Kinsley Mountain, 42 Meter mit 10 Gramm, 22 Meter mit 18 Gramm. Das sind Krocher-News, also da, oder Polo, 85 Meter mit 1,01, 122 Meter mit 1,2 Gramm pro Tonne. Das sind echt starke Zahlen, und der Aktienkurs von denen ist nach unten gegangen. Was wirklich nicht oder unusual ist, dass eine Exploration Company eine andere Exploration Company übernimmt. Das ist extrem selten, kann man eigentlich nicht wirklich erinnern. Aber sie kommen dadurch eigentlich gestärkt raus. Ich habe mir mit ihm eigentlich ein neues Interview ausgemacht zu PDSC rundherum, damit wir dort einmal sehen, was daraus geworden ist, weil die Akquisition muss dann abgeschlossen sein. Sie haben Bohrergebnisse von Polo und so weiter. Sie haben auch jetzt auch genug Geld. Der Aktienkurs von der Copaur ist ein Wahnsinn gewesen. Warum habe ich die Aktien nicht vor 1,5 Jahren mir angeschaut oder vor einem Jahr angeschaut? Da waren wir bei 15 Cent, jetzt sind wir bei 1,20. Sie sehen, der Aktienkurs ist super gelaufen, aber die Firma hat trotzdem erst die Copaur eine Marktkapitalisierung von 30, und wenn der Merger durch ist, haben sie auch nicht mehr aus wie 50, 60 Millionen, und das ist natürlich sehr, sehr wenig eigentlich für das, was sie haben. Also sehr spannende Sache, sehr spannende Entwicklung, was bei der Company ist, und ja, das war ein Start-Interview von Copaur am 6. Dezember 2021, und die Company gehört auf jeden Fall auf die Watchlist. Tschüss und Baba, pfiat euch, viel Spaß und feiert's noch schön in Nikolaus. Tschüss. Jeremy, thank you for your time. Was really a great one.
Thank you. You take care. Thanks, Joe.